Hello everyone and welcome to another Pokemon Trading Card Game live video. My name is Jamie and today I'll be taking through another first place list. This time featured over in Korea. This was, I think, the Korean League season, the 4th League season, I believe, was contested to around, I think, 400 players more or less. But of course, just before we do go into this video, if you do like this type of content and you would like to see some more content related to the Pokemon Trading Card Game, then as always, be sure to hit the subscribe button and of course, like this video. So let's have a look at the list. So what kind of interested me about this tournament in particular is that I think all across kind of Europe and also in America as well, Dragapult is the play, but this time over in Korea, Tera was the deck that took the tournament, which is quite interesting. So let's have a look at this. It's an oldish, I would say, kind of concept. So let's start with Wellspring Mask Ogerpon EX, so 210 HP of Water type. And it has 2 attacks, of course, the first one sobs, so yeah, 20 damage for a colorless. Pretty splashable, which is quite nice, and of course, you can lock your opponent's active Pokemon, prevent them from retreating. So, especially if it's a Pokemon that can't attack or requires a lot of energy to attack, if you bring it up and sob, then they often have difficulties trying to get that out of the active spot. So that's the idea, of course, unless they're playing something like Switch or something to force the retreat, so to say. But it's mostly for this attack here, Torrential Pump. So this is it does 100 damage for a water 2 colorless, and you can shuffle all 3 energy back into the deck, and you do 120 to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So of course, if they're trying to set up, then this is pretty good, especially in the early game when we can actually pull this off on turn 1 if we're lucky enough and we go second. So of course, but do you have to be worried, or do you have to keep an eye out for Shaman? Of course, if you do see a Shaman on the bench, then that will block the 120, but we can still do 100 to the active. And the key wording here is you may, so you can actually choose whether you shuffle the energy back or not, so you have the option nonetheless. But if we pair that with, of course, things like our A-spec of choice, which is Sparkling Crystal, that becomes 1 energy less, and then we can pull that off with a Crispin. Not only do we only shuffle 2 energy back into the deck, but we can also just attack for 2 energy as well. So we just put 1 water and just any other energy of our choice there. So that's the idea. That's the concept basically. This kind of early game is what you want to lead with, especially if your opponent is trying to set up. So weak to Lightning, and of course just a retreat cost of 1. So that's Ogerpon. Or Wellspring Mask, and Teal Mask Ogerpon. This is 210, is another Tera Pokemon, and has of course Teal Dance's ability, so we can attach energy to this, which makes it much easier to power up. But of course we can also manipulate the energy a little bit. We can kind of move the energy around, as we'll soon find out. And it has this attack here for 30 plus, and does more damage depending on how many energy are attached to your opponent's active Pokemon, your Pokemon. So I think Grass is still a pretty strong type in the format. There are still lots of things weak to Grass. So so if you have Ogerpon for that reason, you can just try and knock things out, like Zoroark, I think, or even, I don't know, Grimmsnarl, for instance. Weak to Fire and a retreat cost of 1 as well, so that's pretty good. Other Pokemon in the deck. So we've also got our other, our other Tera Pokemon. We've got Pikachu EX there, 200. Has, of course, its ability here, Resolute Heart, because Pikachu does have very low HP. If this Pokemon has full HP and is going to be knocked out, then you just put it down to 10 instead, 10 HP, as opposed to knocking it out. And of course, it does have this attack here, Topaz Bolt, which is pretty awkward to power up, but again, because we do run Crispin, it makes it a little bit easier. So a Grass, a Metal, and a Lightning there, and that does 300. You discard all energy attached to this Pokemon. So but 300 is pretty good. And if you look, for example, Kangaskhan has 300, you can get some pretty big knockouts with that. That's the idea anyway. So so that's mostly the Tera Pokemon, minus of course 1 Terapagos EX there as well, 230. Pretty good, especially when you've got Aries here. You can just fill up your bench and then just hit with Unified Beatdown. That's 30 times the amount of Pokemon that are on your bench. So you can hit some pretty good numbers with that as well. 2-shot most things, 1-shot a couple of things. Especially if you've got a lot of Pokemon. If you've got 8 Pokemon, you can probably bring up something like a Meowth or even a Fez and knock those out. That's kind of the idea. Speaking of Fez, we do run 1, of course, ourselves. We also run 1 Meowth EX there for last ditch catch. So things like this and things like Fan Rotom, normally they become a little bit of a hindrance because you just fill up your bench and then of course you can't get rid of them, and that's a bit annoying because you've only got so much bench space. But with Tera decks, that's a good thing because you want to fill up your bench to then be able to attack with things like, of course, Terapagos EX with Unified Beatdown. That's the idea. And of course, Fan Rotom, yeah, just searches out your Hoothoot and Noctowl. Of course, Noctowl with Jewel Seeker. So yeah, when you have a Tera Pokemon in play, you can search for 2 cards in your deck, or 2 trainer cards, reveal them and put them into your hand. So really, really strong, especially if you've got like 2 Hoothoots from turn 1, and you can get 2 Noctowls turn 2. So it's pretty good. So it's kind of usually your turn 1 searcher is to get a Fan Rotom, which you play 2 of. So that's good. Other Pokemon, what other Pokemon do we have we've not spoken about? So we've also got one Chien-Pao there. So Chien-Pao, we don't really use it for attacking. So Ice Cold Loop plus 120 is pretty awkward to power up as well. Just for Snow Sink, basically. So when you place this from your hand onto your bench, you may discard a Stadium card in play. So there's just a counter to your opponent. That's the idea. And yeah, and I mean, it also takes up a bench space as well, which means it powers up for Unified Beatdown. Of course, if they are playing Dragapult, we do have just the one Lillie's Clefairy X in there as well for Fairy Zone. Again, Full Moon Rondo actually has we can just stack up our bench in the similar way that we would do with Terapagos, and just use Full Moon Rondo and get those high numbers. That's the idea. It's 20 plus for each Pokemon on your bench. So that's one Psychic in the colors. Again, very easy to power up if you do have a Crispin in hand, or even if you just have one energy and maybe an energy switch. So I think for the Pokemon, that's mostly it. Mine is just the one Kangaskhan, of course. So for Run Errand, it's pretty good early game just to try and draw cards with Run Errand. Of course, you could attack with it if you wanted to, if you're able to power it up, but there's usually better attackers within the deck, but it's not a bad option nonetheless. So that's the Pokemon. Oh, we do have, of course, just one Iron Leaves as well. So just for its ability here, of course, when you put this onto your bench, you may move, you move into the active spot, and you may move any amount of energy from your Pokemon to this Pokemon. So it's kind of just like a surprise KO. So just go for a solid 180. Of course, if they are weak to grass as well, that's 360, which becomes pretty solid. So that's the idea. So you can just put it on your bench and then just go straight into the active. That's kind of the idea. So pretty strong. But I think with that, that's all the Pokemon. So quite a lot going on there. I think I just missed Latias in but for Skyliner, but pretty standard, just used for Skyliner since all our Pokemon are basic. Mine's of course just the Noctowl. Trainer line, we're looking a little bit like this. Of course, we spoke about already Sparkling Crystal is our A-Spec. Crispin in there, we've got 3 of those. It's pretty strong. So Buddy-Buddy, we're not really running too much. Just the Hoothoot and the Fan Rotom, which we want to search out there because they've got 70 HP. 70 HP. Energy Search, so we can just choose the energy we want to get with that. That's also a target with Noctowl as well if we were just missing that one energy. Energy Switch, of course, as I said, with things like, I don't know, like for example, Glass Trumpet, we can attach energy from our discard pile to our colorless Pokemon, and then energy switch them around and kind of, just manipulate the energy a little bit and lead with whatever we want to lead. So it makes things like, for example, Clefairy become like, you can power that up in one turn, and it helps with things like Ogerpon, like Wellspring Mask Ogerpon as well. So, yeah, and then of course Energy Switch, which we spoke about, Night Stretcher for Poké Pad. So switch to Tera Orb, basically. So this is to search out your Tera Pokemon. 3 Ultra Ball, 3 Area 0 Underdepths, which is pretty standard. We kind of need to maximize our bench in order to do more damage. 2 bosses, 1 Briar in there as well. 1 Cyrano, and then 1 Lillie's in there. So that's the trainer line. And then energy, there's a lot going on here. We've got 3 grass. That's just for our Ogerpon, just to be able to utilize Teal Dance. Of course, 3 psychic there as well. So the idea behind that is, just for your Clefairy. And then we need a coloring, we need a typing anyway, like a color, an energy in there, just because most of our Pokemon do have just 1 colorless units there, or in this case 2. So psychic is the choice. It kind of makes sense as well if there's so much Dragapult around. You kind of want to focus on getting your Clefairy powered up. So 3/3, and then the ones are just 1 lightning, 1 metal, and 1 water. And of course, the water is used for the Wellspring Mask Ogerpon, just for that 1 unit there. So, but that's the deck, and as I said, there's a lot going on here. It does require you to think. So I would say Tera is not one of my favorite archetypes to play, but I do think this deck is very strong. And of course, did win a tournament of around 400 people as well. But that's the theory. Anyway, let's go put it into practice and let's play a game with it. Okay, so let's see if our opponent just called it correct. We can choose nice. We'll go second. Just if we can pull off that Wellspring Mask Ogerpon combo. So it's usually pretty strong, but we'll see if it's possible. Well, we do get... Okay, it's not a bad start. I don't think we'll be able to pull it off with this hand, but it's not a bad start, actually. So let's see. But yeah. Yeah, well, I was thinking actually just during the switch over, I think one thing that does actually hurt this deck quite a lot is, of course, Team Rocket's Watchtower. So that's why we've got the... we've got Ultra Ball in deck. We've also got several... Let's see what we draw. Meowth. Okay, we've also got several Poké Pads as well. We can search out Chien-Pao, and we can just use Chien-Pao just to get rid of the stadium, just in case they have a Watchtower. So that's kind of the idea behind that. Fan Rotom, let's have a look. Yeah, because Watchtower really shuts off a lot of things. Actually, shuts off your Fan Cool, of course. It shuts off as well. What else? Of course, your Noctowls as well. That doesn't work. So it's pretty strong. Let's leave a space open there for Meowth. Maybe next turn. Let's see. They've got no... cool, yeah, we just use Solve F20. However, they haven't got... I think... so Mega Kangaskhan is a Psychic weak, so we can try and max out our bench and hit with maybe a Full Moon Rondo. We can get a bit of a weakness on that as well. So Clefairy also is pretty good in the sense that it also hits not just Dragapults, but of course it does hit Mega Kangaskhan as well, which is pretty nice. Let's see, Makuhita, but no Ultra Ball. Okay, nice. So here we could push a little bit. Actually, I think we've got a interesting. Okay, is they not okay? Pretty interesting that they haven't. I don't know. Surely you're going to get you want to try and prioritize setting up your Lucario here. Okay, so it's a strange Ultra Ball, but so let's hit Noctowl here. We'll do this. Okay, yes, and let's see if we can get a Crispin there. Oh, we can just get an Energy Switch really as well, and we'll get a Sparkling Crystal. So yeah, I think that's okay. We don't even need Crispin really. We can just get a. We've got Energy Switch. Get Energy Switch. Just make sure the water's in deck. Otherwise, we've only got one water. So if that's prize, that's going to be a bit of a. Okay, it's not prize. Good. Cool. All right. Let's stick that on there. Let's use Energy Search. We'll just get the water. Bump the water here. And do we really want anything at this point? I don't know if we want maybe... Yeah, I don't know. I think we're okay. I think this next turn we can hit the Noctowl, put that down. I think we've got options here, so this is going to do 100. The question is, what's our target? 100. This will knock that out. Yeah, so we can't get a one-shot on... We'll just hit the Makuhita here. And 120. Yes, of course. The next turn we can get another Crispin and just repeat the cycle. That's kind of the idea. Let's hit... I don't know. 120. I guess we'll hit the... Solrock or Lunatone, I guess, right? Nice, and that's kind of the cycle. Once you've got your... there's a Crispin there, nice, and of course another Noctowl. We do have a Noctowl already. Yeah, once you've got the cycle of just getting this the Sparkling Crystal on your Wellspring Mask Ogerpon, you just repeat the cycle, just keep using Crispin. There's 3 in deck, and even if you don't hit Crispin, then you can just use Energy Switch. That also works. So you can just use Attach Water and use Energy Switch. If you use like a Teal Mask Ogerpon, for instance, and move that over. Poké Pad. Another Lunatone. Okay, why are they not searching for their Riolu? Or were they Riolu's prize or something? Or maybe they're playing something else, I don't know. Ah, there it is, okay. I don't know why they didn't search for that earlier. You'd think that'd be the priority, right? But that is, of course, weak to Psychic, so we'll have to try and get Clefairy out. That's the idea. Of course, Sparkling Crystal doesn't work on Clefairy because it's not a Terra Pokemon. Cosmic Beam, sure. Right. So, this is why this deck is very strong, because what we do here is we just use Crispin, And we get back what the energy. Let's take 2, yeah, to hand. Put this into your hand, yeah, so normally you want to keep that in hand just so you can use Teal Dance. Let's put that in the active. We'll keep, yeah, stick this here. We'll keep the grass in hand just in case we get an Ogerpon. Do we get anything else here? I think we're pretty good. We can't use, that's fine. So 100, okay, the 100 is a little bit annoying. Don't see a way we can power that because that's 110, that's pretty annoying. But the most important thing really is, yes, in the context of this game, we just knocked that out, and that's the main threat here. I don't really see a way in this deck as well you can really power that up, as you can't really get that even higher to 100. The 110 is just a little bit out of range. But if it allows us, we have we've got one Crispin there. I think we've got another Crispin in deck. I'm pretty sure. Bosses, yeah, sure. Nice. Okay. Interesting. They wouldn't bring the Noctowl up as opposed, because they must know that we play Latias. Cosmic Beam. That's fine. Yep. Oh, okay. All right. Nice. Very good. Well, listen, let's just max out our bench space a little bit. Let's just Noctowl here. Cool. And we'll just get an area 0 here. Anything else we need? Do we maybe a Tera Orb, I think. We already had one in hand anyway. Okay, whatever. Cool. Just to get a bit more bench space there. That's nice. Latias is there. Tera Orb as well. Oh wait, I got the wrong one, but whatever. Just decked in. Pikachu, yeah. So okay, so our Teal Mask Ogerpon is prized. That's okay. Okay. Let's get a Psychic, I guess. Why not? Put it in your hand. Yeah, good. Water here. And I guess we'll stick a Psychic there. In fact, Even Latias could probably attack if you really wanted to. 220, so 200 becomes 400, which is actually not bad either. Let's retreat, and we just keep repeating the combo. Should put Pikachu down? So weak to fighting. Yeah, they can't one-shot it. There's just 300. It's pretty solid. Maybe we'll use it later on. I don't know. At the very least, next time we've got Meowth. So again, with these kind of Pokemon that normally sit on your bench, they're pretty annoying. Yes, you don't want to put them down, but because we rely on getting energy onto the bench, basically. Sorry, getting energy. Putting Pokemon on the bench to power up our attacks, then it's not actually a bad shout, so cool. Nice. Ultra Ball there. So, depending on probably we stick a Meowth down, this is, I'll have to do a deck search. Ditching Ultra Ball actually, ditching energy with Ultra Ball is not actually a bad shout either, because we can also, just use, Glass Trumpet and just get them back later on. So, but hopefully there's one more Crispin in deck, I believe, because we play 3 copies. There's 2 there, and I believe this last prize here, I think must be in deck, because I believe this last prize here is a Teal Mask Ogerpon. I think it has to be, right? So they're probably relying or hoping here that we don't have another access to a Crispin, but we have Meowth in hand, and of course we have Ultra Ball as well. So Cosmic Beam, that's fine. So I think this is game. Nice, Clefairy. So we have options here. We can just also go for the knockout as well. But if we just bench Meowth, let's use Last Ditch Catch. And let's get another Crispin. Cool. There we go. Okay, they just conceded. Okay, very good. Yeah, just Wellspring Mask, Ogerpon, Sparkling Crystal, Crispin loop, right? So that's why Wellspring Mask is just so good. Just disrupting your opponent from setting up, so that's why you really want to prioritize your Riolus there. But yeah, this was the first place deck taken from, it was a Korean League season tournament, I think the fourth one, and it had around 400 players, so pretty solid. Again, what I said, like as I was saying before, like I think it's quite interesting because loads of, especially in America and of course in Europe as well, so Dragapult seems to be the play, but over there Tera was the victor, so I find that quite interesting. But yeah, you let me know what you think. I'll put the list in the description box below. You can go check it out yourself. Let me know what you think, and yeah, perhaps what changes you would make. But if you do like this type of content and you'd like to see some more content related to the Pokemon Trading Card Game, then as always, be sure to hit that subscribe button and of course like this video. That would be amazing. But otherwise, guys, there you pretty much have it. And yeah, that was the first place list there for you from over in Korea, the League Season tournament. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and see you all in the next one.